Well, hey guys, welcome and greetings. Are you curious to know if you're an extraterrestrial of some type or have been in contact with some, or if you have star seeds in your blood or a hybrid or a walk-in? Guys, stay tuned because my guests today are experts in the field. So meanwhile, thank you all for joining us. Welcome back as we step into the miraculous. And if you're new to my channel, please like, subscribe, and share so we can continue to grow all of this unique and celestial content. And I am your host, Joan of Angels. I am an intuitive guide, an oracle. I help people remember who they are and why they're here. And I am also a speaker on the upcoming W.I.S.H Alliance, the Starseed Conference. And so I decided, I didn't even decide. I got this prompting that we were to bring on Sheila and some of the other hosts and speakers on the program to give us a little insight into what exactly is a walk-in or a starseed or an indigo or a hybrid, and why should it matter? So before I bring Sheila on, just want to remind you, check out my website. We have some free books right on that subject, and that is www.joanofangels.com. And don't worry, I'm the only Joan of Angels that there is. Okay, right, to date. So guys, I want you to meet Sheila. Sheila is the founder of the W.I.S.H Alliance, and she's the one who suggested we bring on a panel of speakers today to get into this really deep subject. So hi, Sheila, welcome.
Hi, good to see you.
I know.
Thanks for inviting me.
It is so great to have you on here. Give us a little introduction, and then we'll bring our other co-panelists on.
Sure. So what I'd like to do is just tell you real quickly about the W.I.S.H Alliance, because, you know, we got started back in February, and we had maybe, 30, 40 people that was really excited and involved. And we literally have hundreds of people who are now participating and also attending our meetings. And it's really a conscious evolution movement for anyone that's seeking like universal knowledge or spiritual growth, education, or if you're looking for community, because like I said, every Thursday night we get together and we'll either have a speaker, or like tomorrow night, we're having what's called family reunion, and everybody kind of comes and shares their stories. But W.I.S.H stands for walk-ins, indigos, starseeds, and hybrids. And to be honest, I think that includes a majority of everyone that's awakened out there, because our souls have come from somewhere else. There's very few what we would call earth seeds here. And I know we're going to get into that just a little bit deeper, but I just want to say that the W.I.S.H Alliance is truly this evolutionary shift, and it really is providing all of these conscious expansion opportunities for people. And we offer an opportunity for people to become what's called the ambassadors. And the ambassadors provide services, courses, videos, and they are truly highly vetted and experts in their field. And so let's say someone wants to learn more about their soul energy. Well, we've got a course on there of Joan's, and you can get a hold of Joan, and we all know Joan's the expert in that field. And so we really have a highly vetted group of individuals that people can feel confident about. And so we have formed a partnership with Portal to Ascension, and 3 times a year we offer a variety of workshops. We have one for walk-ins and indigos, we have one for hybrids, and now for the first time we're doing one for starseeds, and that comes up at the end of the month. So we're super excited about that, October 30th and 31st. And you can see we have tons of individuals who are everything from receiving these beautiful downloads of information and translating that into art like Omar does. Some of these individuals remember the planets that they come from. Mark Brinkenhoff, actually, when he was born, he was born consciously aware. He was conscious in the womb. He told his mother everything that happened during utero and during the birth process, and he has never had that veil to close. So he has some phenomenal information. We've got Joan, obviously, right here you are, my dear, and we have, yeah, we have several people who are also hybrids, and then we have some people who have done extensive research about what is a star seed. And one of the things that we'll be talking about is, why is it important to be a star seed?
Very important. You've given us a great overview. I want everyone who's out there right now, let us know where on the third dimensional Earth you are from, and whether you think you are a hybrid, an ET, a star seed, a walk-in, and what kind you even might know. We would love to see it. Tina's going to post it. This is your show also, so you get to learn more about who you are and why you're here. So can we bring on our other panelists, Sheila?
Sure, yeah.
All right, we've got Omar and we have Rob. Omar, why don't you give us a second, short little intro to you, and then we'll go to Rob, and then we'll get to the heart of the matter, like what in the world are we all talking about?
You're muted, Omar.
Unmute, Omar. There.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. My name is Omar, and I'm the host and the creator of Watchers Talk. I'm into consciousness and really got into studying this. The field that we're all involved in was because of my wife's experience of missing time. And so I really became interested in that and thought that I'm going to start a podcast and talk to researchers and authors and such, and try to get to the bottom of this. So when I went down that rabbit hole, I ended up going in very, very, very far. And now I've had my podcast for going on 7 years. And, I've begun concentrating on consciousness because I find that everything that we're interacting with is an expression of consciousness. So I'm trying to understand that, and also trying to understand what's going on with my wife. And then now my grandbaby is born. So I'm really wondering if my grandbaby is a star seed or an indigo, or has any attributes like that. So my interest range just like suddenly have just broadened even more. Now I want to learn about it, and I want to share it with people on my channel and everyone else that will listen, because I think this stuff is very important. We're going through this energetic shift and this conscious shift and cultural shift on the planet, and I want to be a part of that instead of just sitting back and just watching. Right, I want to be in there volunteering and helping and doing research and bringing awareness to the general matter in in overall in its respective field.
That makes so much sense to me. And Rob, how did you get yourself involved in all of this?
Well, I was loving the work that Sheila was doing with the Wish Alliance, and I saw, an opportunity for me to just contribute, and it's really taken me down my path of looking into what I actually am. And I am doing that work as we speak. And just to talk quickly about what Omar said, it's, I'm so excited to see his journey with the new grandbaby from,
Right.
it's from the womb to the stars, or is it from the stars to the womb? We'll soon see. Right. So I am the host and creator of Full Spectrum Universe. I work very, very closely with Watchers Talk. We put on events together and things like that. And it's just a pleasure to be here. I love being in these conversations because they always expand my consciousness, even if it's just a little bit, but I'm sure this one's going to be a whole lot. So I'm totally buckled up and ready to rock and roll.
All right. Okay. Well, guys, and I know I'm all of that too. And I've already seen my extraterrestrial oranges, but I want to know now, I think let's get down to, because I've even seen some comments like, I'm not sure what I am. So let's get started. Sheila, let's just start with this. Like let's break it down. There's 4 types that we're talking about: walk-in, starseed, hybrid, and indigo. Give us a brief overview of that.
Sure. So walk-ins are individuals that have a soul that actually was not the original soul to the body. They had a soul that walked in, and one soul in and one soul out. But what I found is when I was writing my book and doing all the research, that there are many types of walk-ins. Okay, so one of them would be the traditional walk-in, like I am, which is a soul exchange, one soul out, one soul in. Then there's what's called a soul infusion, where you have a portion of your soul that remains, but the majority leaves, and more of your higher self essence or more energy from your oversoul comes in, because we are multidimensional beings. And so if we're reaching up into that oversoul to pull energy down, it's hard to tell exactly what's coming, what's going to come through.
Would you know if you are a walk-in, Sheila? Or can some walk-ins not know they're a walk-in?
Very few people know their walk-ins until it is revealed to them. If everyone came in fully awake when they were born, they remembered all their past lives, as they were growing up, they'd be very confused because they wouldn't really understand which reality they're in. It's the same thing with a walk-in. Like in my case, when I was 38 years old, I had a walk-in that came into my body, and I was a very sick person at that time. Now, I didn't realize what had happened. I just knew, for me, it was a very profound experience, because it felt like someone reached down, grabbed me by the hair of the head. I sat bolt right up in bed, and it was like lightning ran through my body. Now, most people don't have those types of experiences. Very few people are active participants as that other energy is coming in. But I was awake as that energy when it entered into the body, because the body is what I was coming into. It wasn't that soul energy, because there was that transitionary period. But a lot of people will begin to understand that there's something different about them. Maybe all of a sudden, all of the people in their lives, they may become disassociated with, or all of their habits may suddenly change. Now, people get a walk-in and a spiritual awakening confused sometimes, because there's a lot of similar attributes. And there are, like on the website, walkins.org, WALK-INS.org, I put a questionnaire on the website that people can go to and ask themselves all of these questions. And it's like, all of a sudden, people might, well, like in my case, I woke up and then 3 months later, I got a divorce. Now, you can't use being a walk-in as an excuse out there just to get a divorce and say, I don't know, and use that. However, a lot of people that are walk-ins do end up getting divorced because they don't have that soul resonance.
So you didn't know you were a walk-in at first then?
At first, I didn't.
So the symptoms were like somehow, and guys, feel free to ask her any questions, because then we're going to move to the other ones. But
sure,
you just knew that you weren't interested suddenly. And didn't you say you had a spontaneous healing in your body?
Yes. The first thing, over the course of, several years, I had been diagnosed. Well, I had an oncologist, because I'd been diagnosed with bone cancer, brain tumors, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue. I used to walk with a cane. I had a whole host of autoimmune diseases, erythema nodosum, sarcoidosis, all of those things. But when the walk-in came in, I was instantaneously healed. Now, I'll be honest, I was in such a daze, for a lack of better terms, that I didn't even notice at first that I even felt better. I was just kind of like, whoa, feel this carpet. Whoa, look at this hair. Whoa, because it was like I was looking out of someone else's eyes. However, a lot of times people will go to bed, or they'll go into a very, very deep meditation, and they will go into a space that they're not familiar with. And when they come out, whether they wake up or they come back to themselves through the meditation, there's something different. Now, a lot of times people are bringing in more of their higher self essence right now at this particular time on the planet. And I think that is because we are moving in to that shift where we're going to be coming 5D beings. And so more and more starseeds who are souls or people who are actually coming from other planets here. They can either be a walk-in soul, or they can be at birth. They come in from another planet. Or sometimes they actually come to this planet and they present themselves as humans, but they're actually from another planet. And a lot of these are star seeds, because what they're doing is they're bringing that energy onto this planet, and they're implanting all of that information, all of those light codes and frequencies into everyone that's around them. Okay.
So that's what a star seed is. Okay.
Mhm.
So I want to hear from Rob and Omar here about hybrids and indigos also, or if we've had experience or examples of people who we think are. Rob, any thoughts about that?
Sure. So if we go to the hybrid section, it's basically it's a lot of different. There's a couple different that are spectrumized, but it's essentially what Sheila's already said, that they have the soul that comes in, and they have DNA that comes from off planet or somewhere out there, and then they also have the resonance of the Earth style seed inside of them as well, and that's essentially what a hybrid. That's essentially what that is, and they resonate usually at a higher frequency as well because of that. And when they have DNA activations, and it tends to hit them a bit differently. So if you have some different experiences from people who usually just meditate and activate DNA, there's a good chance you might be a hybrid.
Interesting. And you differentiated that from a walk-in pretty well, because you said you have some of them may have real DNA taken from a real human, well, not human, but a real extraterrestrial, which I understand some of the military brats have had that experience, right? Do you think you're a hybrid, Rob?
I think I'm a starseed. I think I'm a starseed myself, because I have multiple lifetimes on this planet that I can remember as I'm getting more and more into what I'm doing. But I also remember moments where I wasn't actually on planet. I was out in a different realm where I was something else. So it's starting for me. I'm still in the very beginning stages of my journey, but it's truly awakening. My DNA and my consciousness has been completely expanded from exploring this specific topic of where was I, or what resonates with me when I'm speaking about different types of races, or different types of consciousness awakenings within myself too. It's a mind-bending experience at first, but once you start to wrap your head around it a little bit, you start to understand more of what that means and how it ultimately affects you moving forward. So it's a really crazy thing.
Well, not so crazy. It's actually not knowing all of this is what's crazy. Once you learn about it, it's like, oh my God, no wonder I thought I was different. Like I always knew something was different about me. I don't belong here. So it confirms it. Omar, do you have anything you want to add? Or do you feel like you're a hybrid, a starseed, a walk-in, or an indigo? We haven't talked about that yet, but
No, I
what do
just
you think?
wanted to. I wanted to, understand a little bit more of what Sheila was describing. Before I got into all of this, in this manifesto that I'm writing called Earth Frequency, in it I talk about, avatars that have become abandoned, where the energy or the consciousness or the essence which inhabits this biological machine is just abandoned it for whatever reason, that it can no longer serve out the purpose that it needs to do. So it's going to have to come back, incarnate, and come back, and then the avatar is just really running on nature, right? Just wanting to go from birth to death, and that's it. There's no driver behind the seat. And maybe sometimes these avatars become hijacked by dark entities, and they're the ones that are causing like serial killings and etc. things like that. But now I find it really interesting from what Sheila is saying, and that because she was mentioning that her medical problems that she had. So I wonder if the previous inhabitant of her avatar was, decided to leave the avatar because it figured that it can no longer carry out the purposes that it needs for the avatar to do in order for its mission to carry out. So it left and then made a deal with Sheila right? Because maybe of a higher vibration, perhaps a higher distortion, that was able to come down into this avatar and begin the healing, and then maybe carry out the initial goals that were in place for that particular being, right? That human being that was, given birth, so that its mission can be completed. Am I somewhere in the right field there, Sheila?
Yeah, you're very, very close, actually, because the previous soul to this body was Arcturian, and it did have a mission that was basically abandoned. And it kind of, sort of like Earth is a candy store, so I wanted to, and so it really, really lost its way. And the illnesses that came in truly came in because of the soul itself was dying. It could not survive on this planet. Now, interesting enough, I was part of a collective of beings. I was in more of my multidimensional self, but we were here on the planet, in the planet, around the planet, working on the crystalline grid structure. And not just me, but there are countless beings that are here around us all of the time, because when someone raises their vibration, that's going to affect the collective consciousness, which is also affecting the crystalline grid. But it's not just our crystalline grid. There's multiple dimensions, and there's parallel universes. There's densities that we're talking about, all taking place at one time. And so when one thing happens here, it's going to affect here. So we were actually in the Andromedan system when there was I don't know, I guess for lack of better terms, this vibrational cry out from Gaia, and was looking for people to come support her because of the awakening process. And so in Earth time, we came here probably the late 80s. We were here for the concordance and the convergence and all of that, because we were really infusing that grid with energy to help the planet to wake up. And so when we were here and this soul cried out to be released, it was decided by the collective that I would be the aspect that came in for a couple of different reasons. First off, because this being was already Arcturian, within the neurological system of the physical body, there's also a neurological, energetic, etheric system. And so when you have a walk-in that comes in, the neurology changes, the chakras change, the meridians change, and the etheric bodies begin to change. And so you have to, it's almost like a dismembering of these layers that has to occur. But because this entity, this Arcturian, had already been in this body, there was a lot of framework that was in place, and so didn't have to start over from scratch. And because being in the collective, I was part of my multidimensional self, which had Arcturian lifetimes. And so it was decided that as this aspect or essence that came into the body, that I would bring more of those Arcturian traits with me. Plus, I was going to need those as the spiritual teacher, as, go get them, as the researcher, those types of things, because those are Arcturian traits. And so when I came into the body, things were instantaneously healed, but it still took a great deal of time, because within our cellular structure, there's always imprinting that occurs not just genetically, but from our soul codes. Okay. And so I had to imprint on the body, and I had to, put my soul codes into the body. And some of the light codes, they matched, but some of them didn't. There were behavioral changes that needed to occur. There were patterns that needed to be released. All those kinds of things that we're always doing on a regular basis had to happen. Plus, because the body had been sick, even though it was healed, it kind of had to work its way out of the toilet, because, everything about me changed. My personality changed, my habits changed, the way I dressed changed, the music changed, blah, blah, blah. And I had to learn how to be this spiritual being that was in this dysfunctional body, and to bring a compatibility and a balance there. And so when I came in, as I said earlier, I sat bolt right up in bed. The thrust of the soul that came in thrust the other soul out. And that's when I sat upright. But that soul went right back to the ship. And there was a lot of repair work then that had to be done. And my guides told me about that, because I was like, oh my God, did I hijack a body? Ooh, am I a body snatcher? Yeah, I didn't know, and so, and there really isn't anyone to give you those answers, and so
Really
thank
interesting.
goodness, yeah, my guides,
That's the
helped me
biggest
out.
thing about the Wish Alliance too, is that that's a place where people who have those questions could connect with like minds and find at least a path to some of those answers, and finding ways to work that stuff out. Because when you feel that sense of loss, or just that not knowing, that's half the battle right there, is figuring it out, and like just getting yourself centered and positioned to what's next, and what can you actually find out. So even if you don't feel that that's you, I suggest that you take a dive and just see what resonates and what works with you. Because for me, I'm 40 years old. I mean, until I was 39, I barely knew that any of that was classifying myself. And to actually talking to Sheila was what kind of brought that on. I had gone to mediums, and did past life readings, and some of that stuff talked about the angelic realm, and how one time I was helping children cross over for 50 years, but that could have actually been something totally different than just an angelic side or an angelic realm in that sense. It could have been helping, multidimensional beings come back and forth and usher in new types of bodies and new places. And it's a really wild concept. And you're thinking to yourself, well, it sounds a little out there, but it's not. It really isn't, because when you feel it, you know it. It's a gut feeling, and you'll
Right.
feel it. I promise you.
We feel it, yeah. And what say you, Omar? And then after, let's get to indicos for a minute.
Yeah, so
Anything?
shout out to Maggie O, Ontario, Canada, British Columbia, Canada here. So we're rocking here, Canada in the house. I would have to say that all of us on the planet are star seeds, but what we really need to define is what star are we being seeded from? Because we know that humanity has been seeded from an outside source, and there's many different groups of star seeds walking around on the planet, and I wouldn't doubt that majority of us have that extraterrestrial DNA within us. But the magic is to try to activate that DNA, because we can activate that DNA. We all carry it. So my thought on this is that since Trinity, when Trinity happened, it was really around that time and after that happened that the indigo children and the star seed and the consciousness that's out there decided to come into this planet, and to really investigate as to what's going on. Because as you were saying earlier, that when something happens over here, the effect is felt over here. So when we're blowing up nuclear bombs here on this earth, the effect is being felt elsewhere. So I think it was at that time that was a call for help from the earth in itself, that it's time for higher beings, higher angels to come in and begin doing the work and begin creating this consciousness shift that we are currently going through. And I think this lineage, like for instance my granddaughter, I would say she's probably like the fifth generation, sixth generation of indigo star child that is being born. Because when we investigate and listen to parents across the world, they're all saying that their newborn babies and their babies are like some of the smartest that have ever walked the planet. Right, that they're doing things faster, they're learning things faster, they're retaining more information, they're aware of consciousness, they're alming, they're meditating, just on their own. So we can
Yeah.
clearly see that there's this total different shift of energies coming into this world. And I say that all of us are indigo in some shape, way, or matter. Like I would be, say, indigo, 2.0 because my parents were born in the 40s, so they would be indigo 1.0, I would be 2.0, my kids would be 3.0, my grandbaby would be 4.0. And I'm sure this is kind of the sequence that would go through the audience that is watching us generationally. So I think what we need to do is define as to which extraterrestrial group do we really relate to when we look in within ourselves, which group does really come to mind that we resonate with, and we should really try to meditate and try to learn about that, and then going to like the Wish Alliance Foundation and signing up for that, and then all the the conferences that are happening, those people are stepping up and giving testimonies and their experiences. And it's great to learn from that, because you can grab that information and then go into your house and go to your friends and say, okay, well, you could be a starseed, you could be a starseed, you could be a walk-in, you could be a walk-in. So I think that's what my thought on this whole thing is.
I like that. That really does help. And also, so that's so interesting. So yeah, I'm a starseed, and I have a little bit of a walk-in in me, because who I am now, especially once I started channeling the angels, is very different than who I was then. But there is a theme that still continues on. But I want to say two things here. Number one, most of the people who are on the conference and even here on the panel with us are here because they've explored their own experiences. And that those experiences led us to dive really deeply into the subject. It's like, well, who am I then if I really don't belong here, and I'm waking up and I'm healed and I have a different perspective? The music, like, okay, just so you know, some days I'd like to wake up a whole new person, but I didn't think about the reality of that actually. Okay. So there's that. But I thought, why is this relevant to people now? Okay. What is the significance now of people really knowing who they are and how this works, and what their operating system is? Why do they want to know this? And let's start with Rob again, then we'll go to Sheila and Omar.
Sure. So we're at this moment in time, and I think there's a lot of different factors that lead to this moment. We're not going to get into specifics themselves, but it seems that every yuga cycle, humanity as a whole, even as a consciousness, has a tribulation. And this tribulation is happening right now. And when we're exploring who we are and what we are, we're helping others do the same, and we're waking them up. And if we don't wake up enough people in this moment, we're going to be knocked back to the Stone Age, in a sense. It's a little bit dire,
Right.
but I think we've already won this battle anyway. But this was the looming threat, was we need to ascend to a specific point, otherwise we're going to be put back into a lump, right, or pushed back down a little bit into a lower frequency. But also, there's prophecies that talk about the coming split of higher frequency beings and lower frequency beings. While we are in the same place, we're not going to be, I guess, we're not going to be attenuating the same plane of existence. They'll be there, but not contact. And it's you can go back and forth whichever way it needs to be. But there's so much information available too, that it's really this moment where humanity as a whole is reaching a precipice, and this precipice is coming faster and faster and faster. So we need to wake up, team up, and make sure that we're all on the same page to move into this harmonious style future that we all envision. And knowing who we are helps us better connect with who somebody else is or what they are.
Right.
And it truly is a self exploration. And this exploration is always exponentially greater when there's more around you going through the same exact thing.
You're right. It gives us much more strength and power in collaboration. And once you know, like, so when I go to Sheila's programs, the Wish Alliance, and I find out about the hybrids or the artists or these advanced people who are kind of like me, but had experiences that are different, but they're human like me, it's just very awakening. So what say you, Sheila? Oh, wait, I said I'd go the other way to Omar and then back up to Sheila.
Okay, so when I look at it from the perspective of history, and when I look at it in particular from the perception of root races, we see a sequence of things that have taken place on this planet for the last 175 million years. And we went from different forms of being human. We went from being an etherical dream stage human to being, a hermaphrodite human, to the separation of the sexes human. And now we're going into the sixth root race, which is the indigo, oddly enough, race that we're going into. So indigo race in itself, just really explains the matter that there's going to be a lot of star seed coming in from every different angle that we can possibly imagine, because we're already engaged with like 50 some odd extraterrestrial species, and with time to come we're going to be engaged with more. But one thing we always have to keep in mind is that when we're shifting from one root race to the next root race, there's going to be a destruction of the previous race. It needs to happen in order for the new to be built, so that there's no foundation for the old to stand on anymore. So there's a new foundation, new consciousness, new thinking, and a new mentality of moving forward. So I think this sixth root race that we're coming across, we're witnessing that, as I said, in the with the indigos starting from pretty much the 40s on. That is the new. And then this right here, what we're going through, is really the classic end and destruction of that old way of thinking. Because now when we look around the world, people are really beginning to double think their life. They're beginning to think their careers, and the low end paying jobs that they've been stuck in, that they've just hung on to because of safety net. But this break that they've had has allowed them to go into that etherical space to really reevaluate their human experience. So coming back essentially to the source of their indigo source. And so that's kind of where I'm at with this, to keep it short, or I'll just keep going.
So really well said, Omar, really. Okay, so Sheila, what say you?
Okay, well, I want to back up a little bit in time, because in 2012, December 21st, there was so many different ideas and storylines out there of what was going to happen that I think a lot of people really missed what did happen. Because at that time, we did move from the 3D being into the fourth density or fourth dimension. And most people's brains, minds, lives could not connect with that. And so we're in that growing period, because we also ended the Pleiadian cycle and have now moved into that golden age. Well, to move into that golden age, to move into a new and a higher frequency, we have to shake off and release and get rid of all of that lower vibrational earth stuff, the things that no longer serve us, the jobs, the relationships, whatever's out there that no longer serves us. We have to get rid of that in order for our vibration to continue to raise. So I think for the past few years, so you've got 3D here, you've got 4D here, and you've got 5D where we're going. And most people have moved into that 4D, but then, the job, it pulls me down into 3D, and then they come back up because they're meditating, they're doing their work. Then they get really excited and they start living their joy, and then they're moving more and closer to the 5D, and then something happens in the 3D. So we're kind of like in this vacillation period that we have to really anchor ourselves more firmly into the 4D, because we're already there, actually, so that we can release and move into the 5D. And the other thing that I can tell you, when we're working on the Earth grid, there's so many things that you want to do, that you want to help humanity. But, just like on Star Trek, there is the prime directive, and they cannot come from anywhere and intervene before humanity is ready, before that mindset is ready. But what's the best way to do that? To send all these star seeds, to send in hybrids, to send in walk-ins to actually affect the change. Because as Omar said, we are really all star seeds. We all have come from somewhere else, and we all are impregnating this planet with all these different genetics, and have from the beginning of time. Whether people want to look at, the Anunnaki stories, if they want, whatever their creation story is, humanity has been moving and progressing, throughout our known time here.
I love that, Sheila. I think everyone has a bit of why it's important. I think it's important because we have to know who we are and where we come from. And when we talk about, hybrids with actual DNA from extraterrestrials, and then we talk about this knowledge that could only come from some kind of other higher power, then it's time that the planet really knew about it. Those of you who are listening to us right now had an agreement, an awakening moment, an activation point in your system to hop on today, to listen to this, to kind of tune in. The history of humankind has been completely lost, and it's up to us to discover it. And each of you waking up to who you are is actually the key to us getting the whole picture of humanity, in a sense, and understanding why we're different from the others, what it is, why we're so compelled to serve, like these unique qualities that we have that everyone else doesn't have. I'll never forget my daughter just looking at me and going like, well, why do you have to talk about UFOs, Mom? Like, she thought I was insane. Why do you have to call yourself Joan of Angels? Well, when you discover that you're not crazy and you're part of this collective, and we are the wisdom keepers and the secret finders, we're the ones who are uncovering the secrets of the universe. Like, I don't know what people are going to reveal at this conference, but I do know that I have an appointment. My soul needs to hear this new information. How do we cope and thrive in this new world? So that's my take on it. Just so you know, and I want to add. I know we all want to add to it. Okay, Sheila.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something to Omar about his grandbaby. Somebody sent me a video of a newborn, and the mother was holding the baby on the chest, and all of a sudden the baby sat up. I mean, it pulled away from the mother, started looking around the room. Now, babies newborns do not have that kind of muscle control, but they were looking around, and the look on their face really gave me chills. It's like, oh my gosh, their veil is not closed. And another lady told me, she goes, after I counted the fingers and toes, I'm like, do you remember where you are? Is your veil still open? Can you give me a sign? Can you turn your, she was already quizzing her baby, because these babies that are coming in are moving through all of these different layers that we've had to work through and to release. Right. They don't have that energy stuck to them. And so we're having crystalline babies come in. We're having rainbow children that come in. And like you were saying, they just meditate on their own. Or I have a client, work with clients, and I have little kids all the time, and they'll pick up a crystal and they'll go, oh, can you hear it singing? And they'll bring it to me. They've already got these gifts. So it'll be really exciting. You'll have to keep us up on the progress.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Sheila. And it really just struck a memory. I'm a 420 from back in the day, so I forget really fast, right? But I tell you something. Yesterday was my first opportunity to meet Lola, and when I did exactly as I had planned. When I held her in my arms like this, I was speaking to her, and I said to her, I'm going to remind you of what you are for every single day of your life, so that you never forget. And then I did a little bit of an and I did a quick meditation with her in my arms, and I looked at her, and I said, okay, let's make a connection with our minds. And as soon as I said that, she opened her eyes, and she kind of just like blinked them really fast, and I felt this strain on my third eye. And the only way that I can describe that is that it felt like that my third eye here, that it felt like I got butterflies. But it was the butterflies like in my third eye, and the tug was like so strong that I looked at my wife, and I was like, wow. I said that was crazy. It's almost tugging. So when we bring her home tomorrow, I'm going to practice that more and make that that connection, and ask her where she's coming from to tell me about it, because she doesn't have to physically speak the language. If I can get into a meditative state with her energetic field encompassed within mine, then I can, telepathically communicate with her, and then she can communicate back to me and tell me where she's coming from and what she's doing and what she's seeing, and then what am I to do to remind her every day of her life that she never forgets this, and that she is well connected and rooted to this. So that's kind of what my goal is for the coming foreseeable time anyway. So yeah, I'm
How
excited.
lucky she is.
You
Wow.
chose each other. You chose each other, and that's a good reminder that you're part of this old soul family. So we haven't heard from Rob for a minute.
I knew that that was going to happen with Omar. I knew it because of the way I felt the excitement for him because we were very close and we talk a lot. And I was checking in with him to make sure everything was okay. And, I knew that he was going to connect. I just felt it from the moment he said it to me. I said, that's going to happen. I knew it. I knew it. But, one of the things that we're doing now is we're using the mediums available to us to help put this message out there to help people ascend to that awakened state, much like the ancestors before us who put it into mediums like on the rocks and on the walls and in cave paintings. We have now become those ancestors, and we're trying to educate those who come down the line and leaving our legacy here, so we make sure that it's not forgotten, and maybe humanity, even though they're not fully human, can start at a better position later on from what we're doing now, just like our ancestors did with us.
And here we are in the Western civilization, and we're starting to awaken and speak about things that the indigenous tribes around the world and other cultures have spoken about, which I think is quite remarkable. I want to say something to our to people listening. First of all, it's remarkable to me, and I've noticed this on Portal to Ascension and on Watchers Talk too, that all the listeners have their own relationships to each other, answering your own questions, and I love it. Tina keeps popping it up here. I want to thank Tina. She's paying attention to all of you, and it's really makes me feel like we have a tribe. Okay. Also, I want to say two other things. We have everyone's YouTube channel there. So if you're not like on mine, come and join mine. If you're not on Omar's or Rob's, come and join theirs, please. And we'd appreciate that. And the third thing I want to say is that if you don't know who you are, okay, because I've seen some questions about who am I? Well, first of all, come to the conference. So you actually have a foundation, and Tina will put up the conference at I think they can register right there at portaltoascension.org or on Wish Alliance.
Right.
But come to the conference first and get a foundation. Connect in the chat room, just like you are now, with hundreds of people that are like you, that all have the same questions and outlook, and that's important. And then connect to any one of the ambassadors, or that's one of Sheila's life work, knowing who you are and helping you to understand that. And I help you know who you are. I'm not exactly sure what Rob does, but we're all in that realm of bringing that information forward for you. So, join their chats and and join this tribe and start waking up, start being part of the solution instead of the other side that is still asleep. Okay, we have a very persistent question about heyokas, which I don't know anything about. So if any of you guys know about heyoka, take it away.
Yeah.
I
Or
don't
we'll move
know.
on.
I do.
I don't know anything about because I've seen that a few times. So I just want to interesting enough. I'm running a poll here in the chat room on Watchers Talk, and I asked, "Are you a starseed?" And 44% of the people said yes. 0% have said no, and 44% have said don't know, and 11% have said I hope so. So I think that's a clear indication that a lot of people have a lot of questions, and as Dr. Joan was just saying, go to the conference and connect with people in the chat rooms. There's just so much information in the chat rooms that it really, I find sometimes that there's more information being exchanged in the chat rooms than there is from the presenter on the screen, right? Because there's just so much going on and so many
Right.
friendships are being made. So I would highly recommend to go, and as you guys know, I go to a lot of conferences and I love them. Right, they're just so informative, and also it allows you to get this information. And so when you're consuming this information at nighttime when you're going to sleep, you can look in within and you can seek internally to see what resonates with you, and what does resonate. Then you find that suddenly you get like these downloads and you begin to understand things that you before you didn't understand because you got a little bit more information. And now your self-awareness has increased a little bit. And when that's increased, then your distortion and vibration is increased and your consciousness is increased. And it's just a ripple effect. So yeah, go to the conference.
I love it.
Yeah.
We do have a question here. Sheila, do you want to give everyone your YouTube channel?
I don't have a YouTube channel.
Not yet. No.
I utilize Portal to Ascension. So we do all of our stuff through Portal to Ascension. But the one thing I do want to say, if people are interested in coming to the conference, they can go to wishalliance.org, sign up, put your name, your email address. You'll be added to our mailing list. And later this week, the first of next week, we're going to send out one more reminder notice. And on that notice will be a code. And that code will give you 25% off on your conference fee just by signing up with the Wish Alliance. And so you've got tons of incentive now.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, we have time for last comments from everyone. What else were you going to say, Sheila?
I was just going to address the Hyoka energy, and I don't know if they're referring to the same as I am, but when I first came in, I was very blessed to have a spiritual teacher who was of Hopi lineage. And so what grounded me so quickly into this earth plane was the practice of shamanism. And within shamanism, the Hyoka energy is kind of that contrary energy, that negative energy. Typically, it resides within the south, which is the time of fast growing. And so, we're doing and we're going and we're getting busy, busy, busy. And that's, growth, love, support, change, healing. But when you've got the Hyoka energy, it's exact opposite. So you get out of bed and your shoelace breaks. You walk down, you pour your coffee, and then your coffee cup just breaks right in your hand. It's that contrary type energy. But I do want to say to everybody, you have to remember, we chose to be here. Nothing is happening to you. You probably set this up for yourself already. We're souls in a body having a human experience. We're not humans that have a soul. We're souls. This is our vehicle, our car, our meat suit, if you will. And so it's easy to have Hyoka energy when we drop into our heads and think we're human. We have to drop into our hearts and remember who we truly are. And then Hyoka energy is kind of like, well, that's interesting. And you just don't put anything else into it.
Kind of like the story of Job, but not getting so involved
emotionally.
Yeah. Right. Learning how to pull your way out of that. Everyone's shaking their head. Okay. So we're getting kind of close to the end. Is there anything else someone wants to comment? Some last minute?
Yeah. I woke up a long time ago, and like Neil, I had a Islamic upbringing, and around the age of about 12 or 13, I just decided that it wasn't for me, and I walked away from it. And after a little while, what I discovered in my mind is what just Sheila was saying, is that I am a essence of consciousness that is having this human experience, and I've chosen to be here. I've chosen my parents, I've chosen the experiences that I'm going to have, and I've chosen the people that I'm going to be friends with and interact with, because this is something that I'm trying to experience or re-remember, a memory that I've already have lived, right? Reminiscing, as so to say. So, for me, enjoy life. This is a five sense experience. In your natural state, your energy. And in that natural state, you don't get drunk. You don't get to enjoy smoking a bit of pot. You don't get to enjoy having a great meal. You don't get to smell the flowers, or you don't get butterflies in your stomach when something fantastic happens, because this is the five sense experience that we're here to have. So don't be in such a, great big hurry to jump to the next dimensional state, because eventually you will get there. In fact, you're probably already beyond that, and you just think you haven't been there. But while you're here, enjoy what you have, enjoy the company, and remember the law of attraction, because the more love you put out, the more love you'll get back. And Sheila was just saying, the more shitty things you throw out there, you're going to get that energy back. and then that Hyoka energy is going to happen to you, and nobody wants that Hyoka energy. I sure don't. I had it once and it broke my toe, so I definitely don't want it. So I say, experience, your life, enjoy it, love, and try to get a deeper understanding of your physical self, of what you are and why you're here in this plane, in this time and space, and just enjoy it, right? Just simply enjoy. That's it for me.
The
I
cat
love
wanted to say it too. Kitty wanted to come in and say goodbye to everybody. I see it. But
that.
just one last thing too is it's Omar is right on the money, and we are the ones we've been waiting for. So utilize the tools at your disposal to further help yourself, because when you internalize a lot of this stuff, it becomes self work. It's like when I used to look at history, I didn't realize what I was really doing was working on me, and the fact that that with passion and the knowledge at your fingertips, nothing's off limits, and we can shoot for as high as we want to, and hopefully we land somewhere up there, which I'm sure we all will. But use those tools to really enhance your experience within this plane of existence, and even when you're past this plane of existence. And he's absolutely right.
I love it. You're so right, right, right. What say you, Sheila?
Well, again, I just want to remind everyone that we are having this human experience. And I remember being on the other side. And I remember if I wanted to raise my arm, I didn't have an arm because I was essence, but I knew what it was like to raise the arm. I knew what it was like to be the bone that had the muscle over it. I knew what it was like for the fingers to move. I knew what it was like to hold an apple. I knew what it was like to be the apple, the seeds, and everything. But there's a difference from knowing and experiencing. And I think that's why, I would be the kid if I were younger and I was on the field trip. Don't touch that. My hands are all over everything. I got to touch it, feel it, taste it. And, this life is wonderful. And we are here having this experience, but we're also changing humanity, because the more light codes that we activate in our physical body, the more light codes that we activate in other people. And when these new little beings come in, they already have those light codes activated that we've worked to activate, and they're activating even more. And so, it's a very exciting time to be here on the planet. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go ahead and, to come in to this body, because, this is kind of like the greatest show on earth. And I wanted a front row seat,
I love
everybody
that.
in the galaxy's watching.
I love that. Guys, you all have a soul purpose. If you listen to everyone here on the panel today, knowing the truth about where they come from and their origin enhances their soul purpose and their ability to step up this life now to handle what probably is the biggest shift in consciousness on our planet today. So I'm going to leave you all with this concept. You all have a huge mission right now, and it requires you to know who you are, why you're here, what your big purpose and what your big purpose is, and what has been kept from you. In other words, what are those inconsistencies on the planet that finally you're beginning to understand the truth? I am hugely about understanding the truth of who we are, because you can't function if you don't know. You're always out of sync. It's like, well, I'm sensing something, but So the conference itself will confirm it, but not, it's not about the conference. It's about you learning all this material to activate your own DNA and to really wake up to your destiny of who you are. So I want to encourage you, number one, to reach out to the W.I.S.H Alliance, sign up to get Sheila's emails. And by the way, there's a great speaker tomorrow night, just so you know, who's going to teach you about light language. I think Judy Satori, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very, very renowned in the celestial light language field. And so she has her events every Thursday. There's also the conference is coming up a week from this weekend. And everyone here has their own set of events. Omar has his YouTube channel. Rob has his YouTube channel. I have my YouTube channel, Step Into the Miraculous. So we're encouraging you all to play with us. We each have our own way of helping you understand the big picture of all of us. We're here collectively, and it was a mystery for each and every one of us until we had that aha moment, which I can guarantee to you is life changing, or we wouldn't be up here today. So meanwhile, we're going to close in a second, but I just want to leave you with this. If you're new to the channel or my channel or any of their channel, like, subscribe, and share, because that helps us continue to grow. Sign up on the W.I.S.H Alliance and make sure you come to that conference. I'm speaking Sunday morning, just as an aside. And there's that narcissist, Joan. I don't know when Omar is speaking, or Rob, or Sheila, though. But
Now, Dr. Joan, what are your shows that are starting in November on PTA?
oh, that's right. This was a miracle in itself. So you guys know that I was having a fantasy. First of all, I wanted Neil to interview me, and I didn't want to ask him. And then I thought, God, it would be so. Why doesn't he ever want me? I should be doing on his channel. I just want Neil's reach and reach his channel. And when we were doing our big business meeting and collaborating, he came up with the idea. It was like his idea. So the first 2 Tuesdays of November at 3 p.m. Pacific and the last 2 Tuesdays of November, 3 p.m. Pacific, Neil and I are co-hosting on the Joan of Angels YouTube and Portal to Ascension YouTube. So we'll be, I think we have Marguerite on once. We have a few other speakers. Oh God, I have the list, but the list is not ingrained in my brain. And then starting in December, though, I also will be hosting some more shows with Portal to Ascension, all the famous speakers that you love. And so it's very exciting. Thank you for asking about that. Oh yeah, Omar. Yes. And I'm so glad we can talk about later. All right, guys. So you now know how to reach all of us. You know what your mission is to uncover the truth about who you are so that you can step into your purpose and align with all of us to do this great work and raising the vibration. As Sheila says, we're changing and activating the light codes. We are making a difference. We're giving humanity a place to ascend to as we go through that. So meanwhile, thank you all so much. Make sure, by the way, you go check out my new website, joanofangels.com. Get your free ebook, which is about knowing your soul purpose. So how could we not be so? We're all aligned in this method. So joanofangels.com. I would appreciate if you all went over there as well. So guys, we'll see you all a week from this weekend. But didn't you say you're doing a show, you two, next week? Sheila, Omar, are you doing?
Yeah. We're planning on something for next week to really get a better understanding of what a walk-in is, because I still feel, because people that watch my channel, I've never had anything of walk-ins on there before, so I would like to introduce that to them to raise their awareness on the subject, and find out from them if they feel that they're walking as well. And if it goes really well, then I look forward to bringing more educational material like that on Watchers Talk. So I figured, what's the best source? Sheila Seppi.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You sort of seem a little bit of a hybrid to me, Rob. When I look at you, I don't know, so I kind of see like Neil. He looks like a hybrid to me, those big eyes and a little pointy chin, and well, those.
My chiseled jaw, maybe? I don't know. Is it my big nose? My big Italian nose, possibly? No, I
Well,
don't
you
know.
didn't show us your big Italian nose.
You ready? I'll give you the side.
And that impeccable hair.
It's got. Listen, I could stab somebody with this hair right now. I'm afraid to lay down. I may not be able to get back up. But
Wow.
no, we also have some other events. Me and Omar coming up in the next month and a half or so. I think we have 2 back-to-back that we're going to be working on to try and bring education to people about history and other matters as such, that they are going to be planned out a little bit better than just dropping a line on Portal to Ascension. But yeah.
All right. So you're hearing it from everyone else. And Sheila, any other event besides this conference, or is this the big baby right now?
Well, right now, this is the baby. And then the first weekend in January, we have the walk-in conference with walk-ins and indigos.
I can't wait for that one. I want to get through this one, though. It's because,
yes, me too.
By the way, guys, you actually need a notebook, a pen and paper, a couple of bottles of water, because you have to sit there, and there'll be moments where It's just too mind-boggling. You have to write it down. All right. All right. So guys, stay sane. Thank you for walking and stepping into the miraculous with us, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now. Well, always goodbye. Bye.
Bye.